Hello, welcome to Real Frank Movie Reviews. Thanks for checking it out. In this episode, we're going to review the new movie, Bones and All. My guest reviewer and I will be talking about spoilers. So if you want to see it first, stop, go see it, and come back and watch this episode. I'm going to break it down, favorite parts, least favorite parts, and score the things. Now, are you going to be one of those people that eats the bones and all? We'll get into all of that next.
Real Frank.
All right, welcome back to the show, Michelle. Michelle, welcome back. How you been?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. So, Bones and All, could you give our audience a brief summary of what this movie was about?
Well, I went into the movie completely trusting you and not even watching a trailer. So, quick summary, it's about...
Trusting me? Wait. We don't know each other. You're just friends. We're just guests. You're just a guest on the show. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Continue.
A cannibalistic species of human beings that go around eating people, I guess. I mean, that's... And then there's a love story.
Wow, that was some summary. Could you be any more vague?
Well, I know there's spoilers, but if people want to watch it.
But listen, you gotta get more details. So there's these people called eaters, right? This little girl doesn't know she's an eater. She finds out she's an eater when she starts eats this girl's finger, right? Then her dad leaves her, and then her dad left her this tape giving her like a brief history of what she is or what she was about. And then she had a mom, so then the whole movie is her looking for her mom on this journey because her dad left her, so she could get a better understanding about who she is. Does that sound a little better?
It does sound better. Her dad waited until she was 18, though, till she was an adult to leave her.
And the fact that she ate some girl's finger.
Well, I think that had happened before. She knew she was already different. They had traveled and moved and changed names and different houses. They knew how to get out of their house in 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, obviously her dad had her trained for that, but she had no recollection because what was the other team? I think he said was like 3 years old. She ate her babysitter or something to that regards. And
at 6 years old, she killed a friend at camp.
Right, that's right. 6 years old. So she probably didn't remember any of that stuff.
Or 6th grade camp, one of the two.
Right, yeah. So that's like a backstory. So it's like, then she meets this guy. She falls in love with this guy. So it's like a weird cannibalistic love story in a nutshell. Wouldn't you describe it that way? Just like a new way of doing a love story for the sick motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, so I thought the acting was pretty good, and I thought that the storyline was very disturbing, but they found a way to make you feel empathetic for the main characters.
The main character. So what did you think about the character Sully, the old guy that she meets in the beginning that kind of gives her more of knowledge about her? He smelt her. She was at a bus and got dropped off, and he was supposedly at a near yard, and he smelt her and went up to her and kind of like introduced himself and gave some knowledge that she wasn't aware of, that she could smell people and he could smell her, and taught her to smell. What did you think about the whole character of Sully?
It was very creepy. After the movie, I was trying to figure out who he reminded me of, and he reminded me of I don't know if he was a priest in Poltergeist. Like just this creepy character, but, you know, an eater, not a demon. But he definitely seemed fishy the entire time. Like I never trusted him from the beginning. He became obsessed with her really fast.
You know, I don't know if you've seen the movie Ready Player One. He was the old guy in Ready Player One. That's all I could think about was him, the one that died to create the game, and the game was all about him finding his 3 keys. That's the whole entire time I could think about him. I go, where's his other key? Are they hidden in this movie too?
Guess he was in Don't Look Up too.
Yes, he was.
It's a small scene.
He was the Steve Jobs wannabe guy. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in that too. So at the end, so the her name Maren leaves him to go finish her journey looking for her mother. Runs into this other guy Lee that she falls in love with, and they do the little thing. So at the end, they're realizing they're trying to live like a normal life. And then Sully's been secretly stalking her and like showed up another time and then shows up at their apartment. Now the scene near the end when he's hovering over her, got her pinned, and that little saliva drips on her. Now, did you think he was going to eat her or he was in love with her or both?
I think he was going to eat her. Just a weird character.
Why did you think he was going to eat her? You didn't think he was in love with her?
Because he was salivating.
Yeah, right. That don't mean though he was going to eat her though. I don't think he was going to eat her.
His own rule was to not eat other eaters, but
or living.
I think
remember?
That was horseshit.
He never killed anyone. He would find people who were dying and wait for them to die, and then he would eat them.
Maybe. We only saw that one scene.
Well, that's what the premise
felt
was.
like it left it open to like he's not who he says he is.
So you were right in Maren was right in believing that she didn't trust him and there was something off of him.
Yes.
What do you think about the two other guys they met when they were in the field and they came over and the one guy was an eater but the other guy wasn't, and he was being taught how to become an eater, the cop?
The cop?
Yeah.
First of all, I thought they were going to come back at some point in the film, and they didn't, which I was kind of glad because I didn't like either character.
Because they scared you, or you just didn't like the character?
I just didn't like the character. It was just, I mean, they were trying to kind of make you feel empathetic towards these characters, and I thought that those two were like the worst of the worst of the eaters and the eater wannabe.
So did you think they were going to...
Clearly a disturbed human being.
Do you think they were going to try and eat them?
I don't know.
Because remember, the guy was chasing them as they took off, and they snuck off. They didn't start the truck, and then they took off.
Right.
And then the one guy was chasing him that kind of looked like that Phoenix guy, the Jacqueline Phoenix from
But if they have that sense of smell, I feel like they would have been able to find him.
Right.
Track him.
Well, it's supposed to be so many feet, though.
I don't know. At first I was thinking, is this like a vampire movie because of that? But they didn't have any superpowers other than this sense of smell.
Right. And then sense of smell and eating, cannibalism. My whole issue with this movie is we never learn how they become this way. Like, why is it only this certain group of people that are eaters? What made them eaters? What made her mother an eater? We never find the true definition of how these people became eaters. Well, it must be something. Did one of them get bit by a vampire? A bat? Something crazy? And then they became an eater? Then they started, all around and then spreading their genes. And then all of a sudden they made other eaters? Like, that bothered me. I wanted to know how these people became eaters. We never got a backstory of why or how they became eaters.
Right, and how her mother could have married her dad, and he never knew until later on.
Right. He never knew till later on, and then why would he stay? Why would you stay when he knows he's not an eater there? It's very strange. Like I wanted it defined to me of some sort of backstory to help bring it together, like more of a backstory instead of more focusing on this love. Fine, you got a love story here. It's kind of fucked up, but you got a love story. Weird way of doing it. But give me more of a backstory of how these people became eaters. How many are eaters, and does it ever end?
Like a lot.
Does it ever end? Can they break the cycle?
I don't know. That's left up for interpretation.
And how do they eat the bones? I wanted to see a scene where they eat the bones. And what happens when you eat the bones? And remember the one guy says, have you eaten the bones yet? Oh, it's quite an experience. It's quite a feeling. What was that experience? What was that feeling?
I think he said it made you stronger.
Is that what he said?
I think so.
Okay.
And then at the end, Lee told Maren, "Eat me, bones and all. Don't leave any evidence behind."
Yeah, right.
And you don't know if she ever did.
No,
but I did read in the book that she doesn't.
Well, the way the movie said.
No, she does. No, in the book she does.
No, she has to because they hinted at it because the apartment's all cleaned up and everything, and there's no body, so she ate him because she's a pig.
So she lets go of her innocence and becomes a full cannibalistic person like Sully.
She becomes a crazy bitch. Crazy man-eating bitch.
I mean, Sully ate Lee's sister.
Right.
He had her ponytail on his hair thing.
The hair thing was pretty whacked. Was there any part in the movie you did enjoy?
How many times did I look away? A lot.
I don't know how many times I looked away because I wasn't with you when you watched this movie.
I didn't hate this movie, but I would never see it again. I don't think I'd recommend it to very many people unless they have a strong stomach and they're not faint of heart.
Wow.
But I know that it's well written, and I think the actress did a great job. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the acting was pretty good in it, but the movie's pretty weird.
It is very weird. It's for people who enjoy that thing.
That's for sure. I have a big pet peeve in this movie, so I don't know if you noticed this, but the movie takes place like, would you say like the early 80s possibly, because they're around Reagan was on the radio, I believe, at one point, and there was like a Reagan Bush sticker, I believe, on the truck. So there's a scene, they're driving this blue pickup truck that they got from a man that Lee killed and ate, and there's a missing hubcap. In some scenes, the missing hubcap rotates to different sides of the vehicle. So
I didn't notice that.
I saw that, yes. So I believe it originally started like on the driver's side, there was a missing hubcap, and then another scene, it's on the passenger side, and then the other scene, the passenger side has the hubcap. So I was very distracted by that. I also noticed that because of the being a period piece, the 80s, they had several cars from the late 70s, early 80s. They had a Thunderbird, and there was like a Grand Marquis Ford. Now, I'm a car guy, so I like to look at the cars. And I noticed they used them repeatedly in different scenes. So there was a scene when she went to her mother to the hospital, and the cars were parked in the parking lot. And the truck was parked kind of blocking them, but I noticed, because I was checking out the scene in the cars, and I was like, oh, look, that's a Thunderbird, and that's a, like it could have been a Cougar or Thunderbird because it's kind of similar, and then there's a Marquis. And then I look at another scene, and there's the Thunderbird, like in a parked. Now it's not a different angle, not kind of hidden. And then another scene in the street, there's that Marquis like sitting on the side of the road, so like reusing like some of the cars throughout the scene. So I just,
low budget film, maybe.
Must have been, but I did catch that, which is odd because you never catch that stuff. I'm sure it happens quite often in movies, but for whatever reason, it caught my eye, so I was kind of annoyed by that. Like, oh, look at you, cheap asses, cutting dollars and cents there. Now, did you have a favorite part in the movie?
I mean, maybe when they were out in the desert and they were trying to be alone and then decided to live their own normal life, moved to Ann Arbor.
Figures they'd go to Ann Arbor, right? Can't go like
right?
Texas or Nebraska or Idaho. It's Michigan. I
don't have a ton of favorite scenes because the movie itself just really grossed me out.
So you just didn't have anything that you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Nothing like that at all.
I think my least favorite scene was when she saw her mom.
Why?
And just because you were hopeful that there would be a different reaction there, and that was really weird.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and score this since you don't really have anything positive to say?
I didn't say anything negative. I just... It's just one of those movies, you got to be a certain person to watch it. I went in not knowing anything about it.
Yeah, some crazy guy person likes to eat people. Yeah, you'll enjoy this movie. All right. So 1 to 10. 10 being the best movie you've ever seen in your life. 1 being the worst. How do you score it?
Because it's got good acting, the storyline was well written. I'm gonna say like a 4.5, but I know others love this movie and I don't.
4.5? Now, how do you know other people love this movie?
Because I looked it up.
Where?
Just online. See what people were saying about it.
What, like Rotten
Social
Tomatoes?
media?
I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes anymore. I mean, because they used to be legit, but I don't think they're legit anymore. They're too influenced. They're supposed to take the compile. I think some shenanigans are going over there. So you read reviews where people actually liked the movie?
Mm-hmm. Not our generation so much, but
Like what? I don't know what you're talking about.
younger generations. They like it. They're not bothered by stuff like that.
What? I mean, I'm 25. How much younger than me? Come on.
80s cars.
Yeah, well, you know, I got my parents educated me in that stuff, you know. All right, so you give it a 4.5 for a movie you didn't like, huh?
I'm kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, you have nothing really positive to say, but yet you scored it at 4.5. What? I mean, that seems kind of strange.
I didn't say anything negative. I just said it's not my type of movie.
Okay.
I repeatedly said that I liked the acting and that they found a way to make me empathize with the characters, which is hard to do if you don't like a movie.
You're right. For me, overall,
I didn't hear your favorite part.
I had no favorite part. The cars. The cars were my favorite part.
So you hated the movie?
I hated this movie. I didn't like this movie at all. Overall, my score for this movie, which I think is not my cup of tea, it's awful. I give this thing a 2.6. And the only reason it's a 2.6 is because the acting. The acting was fantastic. Hands down, solid acting. But this movie, the story, the plot, I didn't get any of that. And I didn't like the fact that I didn't have a backstory to how they became eaters. I was hoping they give some sort of hint how they became eaters and how they ended up in this situation. But to trick me and turn this really into like a love story, I felt very deceived. Very deceived.
Oh, okay.
Make a gory horror / cannibalistic love story, you sick people. I was tricked. Finoogled into this. Not my cup of tea. The story was whacked.
What if there's eaters walking around us and we just don't even know?
How did I know you were gonna say that? How did I know you would say some comment like that? Because your mind works so weird. Why would you say that? Would you believe that?
I think that no.
Oh, did you leave the movie theater trying to figure that out?
No.
When you left the theater, what was on your mind?
Why the hell did I watch this movie on Thanksgiving weekend?
And he still gave it a 4.5. Oh, man. Oh. So Michelle gives it a 4.5. I give it a 2.6. That's our review for Bones and All. Thanks for watching.